you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me one quick favor, see that little black subscribe button on the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Really does help this channel grow, my audience grow, and I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you again. Now, here's the video that you came here for, Gears, and I want to do something a little funky here on the Friday before the biggest college football weekend of the year. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I want to talk a little college hoops for the first time in a while. And I know what some of you say, Torres, why are you talking college hoops the Friday before the biggest weekend in college football? Well, one, we just did an hour's worth of preview content on Thursday's Aaron Torres pod, so forgive me. If you missed that, go back and check it out. But two, things are finally starting to ramp up again a little bit with college hoops. And for people who don't follow the calendar religiously, September, like mid-August to mid-September, is essentially the slowest time of the year on the college hoops calendar. Practice really ramps up in October. The season's from November to March. We have portal season, April, May into June, NBA draft stuff. Portal starts to wind down, right before July. And then you get a lot of these summer tours in July. So it feels like the college hoops calendar essentially goes until pretty much mid to late July, once the NBA draft wraps, once Peach Jam wraps, things slow down. But it's starting to pick back up because over the last couple days, two things are happening. One, coaches are allowed to visit high school prospects, so they can visit them at their high school, they can watch practices, they can visit with family. Two, we're getting some recruiting official visits here over the next couple days that are huge. And so what I want to do, in a very rare twist, before the biggest Saturday of college football, do a little bit of college hoops recruiting news and notes. By the way, if you missed the college football preview stuff, make sure to go back and check that out on Friday's Aaron Torres pod. This is definitely something a little bit different. All right, let's talk college hoops recruiting. And the big story this weekend is this. Cooper Flagg, the #1 high school player in America, starts his official visit tour. I think everybody knows his story by now. We talked about him a lot during the summer. Cooper Flagg was the #1 high school player in the class of 2025. Decided to reclassify after Peach Jam, 6'9", and he really does just about everything. Can handle the ball, distribute, get others involved, protects the rim, all that good stuff. Decides to reclassify, and he has set up 3 visits over the next couple weeks. Next month, early October, he will go to Duke and Kansas, but he starts his official visit tour on a beautiful little campus called the University of Connecticut. I am talking about Storrs, Connecticut, UConn Huskies reigning national champs. And so I want to talk a little bit about it, but I'll start by saying this, and I'll start by being fair. Cooper Flagg, the #1 player in America, is on campus at UConn this week. It would still be deemed an upset if he ends up there. We've talked about it all summer, but even before he reclassified, Duke was deemed to be the favorite in his recruitment. Always viewed as a dream school. He took an unofficial in the summer before he reclassified. Will take his official visit, and I think most people still think that Duke is the front runner. At the same time, I said it all summer long. Dan Hurley is not a man that is acting as though he has given up on getting this kid to Storrs. One, UConn obviously has a great product to sell, right? But two, Dan Hurley and his staff were at every single one of Cooper Flagg's games at Peach Jam, sometimes 3-4 coaches deep. And there are ties between the Flagg family and UConn. As I've told you before, Cooper Flagg's mother was a player herself at the University of Maine. She played with the late mother of Donovan Clingan, the current UConn star. So there's family ties there. And obviously there's geographical ties as well. Cooper Flagg is playing high school ball at Montverde in Florida, but he's originally from Maine, has most of his family up in that northeast corner of the country. Easy drive for them. They're a close-knit family. And I think UConn's got a shot here. Now, look, do I think they're going to get him? If I had to put in a crystal ball, if I could bet on this in Vegas, I would still take Duke. But again, Dan Hurley is not giving up. And once you get him to campus, anything can happen. I have no doubt Dan Hurley and UConn are going to put their best foot forward this week. Let's keep it going because there is another super marquee official visit this weekend, and that is the #5 player in America, Trey Johnson, who is visiting Baylor. Really good player, 6'6", kind of a 3-level scorer, long, kind of just a new age like basketball player. He just has that NBA body, that NBA frame, that NBA look, and he is a guy that I believe, he's got as much upside, I believe, as anybody in this class. So 6'6", originally from Texas, now plays high school ball at Link Academy in Missouri. but he's visiting Baylor this week. Baylor and Texas are deemed to be the favorites in that recruitment. Where it gets interesting, though, is the why. His dad played at Baylor, but how about this? His dad, one of the assistant coaches at Baylor at the time, was Rodney Terry, who is now the head coach at Texas. So Texas and Baylor are deemed to be the favorites. I did find this interesting, though. Trey Johnson told Adam Zagoria last weekend that he still plans on taking 2 more official visits in October, 1 to Alabama and 1 to Arkansas. Why is that interesting? Arkansas recently got a commitment from one of his high school teammates, Jalen Shelley, also of Link Academy. And Eric Musselman this week was at Link Academy watching these 2 guys play. What I can tell you, Baylor is the favorite. Texas is the favorite. Those 2 are head and shoulders above everybody else. But I'm starting to hear whispers that Arkansas feels like they're in pretty good shape with this kid. Again, once you get him to campus, anything can happen. Who knows, etc. Not trying to oversell it. Don't think anything is anywhere close to done. Still think Baylor and Texas are the favorites. But I'm just telling you, Eric Musselman, Arkansas, lying in the weeds. Just be ready on that one. Speaking of Arkansas, really quickly, I did mention Jalen Shelley, 6'9" forward, committed a few weeks ago. Really like this kid. You know, listen, the thing about Coach Muss, if you follow his teams, he's got a type, right? Super athletic, switchable, defends multiple positions, plays really hard. That's exactly who this kid is. Not an elite scorer, not an elite playmaker, but if you play hard and you commit on the defensive end, you will get on the court for Eric Musselman. This is a kid with the size and athleticism to be a day one contributor for Arkansas. I believe that is what he will be. Jalen Shelley, the first commitment for Arkansas in the class of 2023. Trey Johnson mentioned he's visiting Baylor, but will also visit Alabama and Arkansas over the next couple of weeks. Alabama hosting a 5-star guard named Boogie Fland. We'll get to him in a minute because Kentucky's kind of viewed as the favorite along with Indiana for him. But very interesting in that there is a 7-foot player out in California, Prolific Prep, about an hour plane ride from where I live. I've been up to Prolific, great school. Kid named Aiden Sherrill, high 4-star kid. It seems as though he is trending towards Alabama. He's cut his list to 4, but Nate Oates was in to see him this week, and it feels as though Alabama may be in the driver's seat to get this kid. Don't know if a decision date has been set, but keep an eye on Alabama there. I'm bouncing around, but a couple quick things before we get out of here that I do want to hit on. One, have you seen my boy, Big Rick Energy, Rick Pitino? So Rick Pitino crushed the portal this offseason. I have St. John's as a fringe top 25 team, and I think they make the NCAA tournament in year 1. But Rick Pitino is a developmental coach. He's a guy that still likes to recruit the high school ranks. And over the last couple weeks, he has picked up 2 marquee commitments in the class of 2024. The first one, Jaden Glover, a top 60 or so player out of New Jersey, 6'6", kind of a guard wing hybrid. And then Kaman Maker, a 7-foot center, originally from Africa, who now plays at out in Vegas. Both of these commitments to me are very important for 2 different reasons. One, from the Jaden Glover perspective, I think that one is important for this reason. I talked about it during the Rick Pitino hiring process. If you can get a coach that can lock down the tri-state area, you can win national championships at St. John's. I keep hearing that New York City doesn't produce players like it used to. And listen, the players may be in slightly different places. They may be in prep schools as opposed to public schools, but there are players in the tri-state area. Just in the class of 2023, just the freshmen this year in college basketball. DJ Wagner, many believe to be the best guard in high school basketball last year, is at Kentucky from Jersey. Aaron Bradshaw, some believe will be a top 10 pick at Kentucky. He's from Jersey. Mackenzie Mbako, top 10 player, committed to Duke, decommits at Indiana from Jersey. So there are players in the area, but it's on St. John's to keep them around. Did a good job with Simeon Wilshire, who of course was originally committed to North Carolina, flips eventually and ends up at St. John's, asked for a release of his letter of intent. And then to start the 2024 class with Jaden Glover, I think this is huge. And he's kind of one of those guys. Super long, super athletic. Those are the guys that Rick Pitino develops, which brings me to Kaman Maker, 7-foot center, again, out of Vegas now playing high school ball in Vegas. That to me is the quintessential Rick Pitino guy, okay? Because the thing about Pitino is Pitino, better than anybody, I think is the best player developer in basketball, at least at the college level, okay? He has taken so many guys that nobody really saw much in and turned them into productive college players and productive NBA players. The most notable one in recent years is certainly Donovan Mitchell, but there was a kid, remember, about 7-8 years ago named Gorgie Jang. I guess it was more than that because he was part of Louisville's national championship team. Lightly recruited, didn't play much his first year. He ended up playing in the NBA for like 6-7 years when Pitino was done with him. And so I bring it up because this is a kid that, to me, listen, I don't know if he's an NBA prospect, but that is the type of kid that Pitino, you won't hear from him for a year. And then year 1, year 2, you're kind of like, what is it? And then year 3 or year 4, he'll blow up. So I'm so excited, but Rick Pitino off to a hot start in the class of 2024, including a 4-star guard named Jaden Glover. Finally, let me wrap with this. I want to talk Kentucky for a couple of reasons. One, a little bit of a quieter fall for them. It's well noted and well regarded that John Calipari, I think, is a little bit down on the class of 2024. He's not prioritizing a lot of kids, but there are a couple pieces of news over the last couple of days. Boogie Fland took an official visit last week. 6'3" guard out of New York. By the way, another New York City kid. So he's not going to St. John's, but don't tell me that there aren't players in New York. But two, one, Boogie Fland took a visit there. He is visiting Bama this week. I have been told it's kind of an Indiana, Kentucky kind of deal for Boogie Fland. So we'll see what happens there. The other one, really interesting, Jaden Quaintance, a 7-foot center, reclassified. Really interesting story here. He is a senior this year, but because of his age, is not eligible for the 2025 NBA draft. So he's not going to be a one and done. He has to play 2 years of college basketball. So it'll be interesting to see what he does, but he is considered a senior, won't be able to leave after 1 year. Kentucky was in to see him this week. It feels as though it is a Missouri-Kentucky battle on the college level. I still think G League Ignite, the pro option, is the one that makes sense. I just don't think most high-level players want to play 2 years of college basketball. Easy to get exposed, easy to, have a couple down years, easy for people to kind of pick apart your game the longer you're in the spotlight, especially at a place like Kentucky. You go to G League Ignite, you're off the radar. People watch you, but not like they do at Kentucky. I still think it'll be G League Ignite. I also think there's a possibility maybe he plays 1 year of college basketball, then goes pro, either in Ignite or overseas. So that is one worth watching. And I want to wrap this basketball segment. A lot of basketball talk. How about Torres out of left field talking basketball? I want to give credit to Cal for one thing. It appears as though the kid Zvonimir Ivicevic, we talked about him a few weeks ago. He's going to end up a Kentucky Wildcat. Okay, so the backstory here, we've talked about it, but 7'2" kid from Croatia. Nobody knows much about him. He declares for the draft last summer out of Europe, goes through the draft process, decides to pull out. At that point, I think everybody thinks he's going back overseas, ends up out of nowhere committing to Kentucky. Really good player, really skilled, just a big recruiting win for Kentucky. Why do I bring it up? Well, about 2 weeks ago, we talked on the show about the fact that right now, Kentucky's admissions office has not allowed him to enroll. Basically, he hasn't been accepted to school. So it's not an NCAA issue. The NCAA has cleared him, but the Kentucky admissions office has not admitted him yet. And so it's been an interesting thing. It trended on Twitter for a few days, free Big Z, all of that. And it looked for a while like he wasn't going to be able to go to Kentucky this year. Well, I give him credit because it feels as though the tides are starting to turn, and it feels as though Kentucky is going to figure out a way to get this done. Don't have all the details, don't know how the admissions process works at Kentucky, but at the same time, I just give Cal credit because it appears as though this is another situation where he did not panic. Okay, it would have been easy to panic, would have been easy to freak out, would have been easy to curse out whoever, and maybe he did behind the scenes, but he stayed calm publicly. He's kept quiet. With the camp, with the kid, the kid's camp, I should say, my understanding is he's just kind of said, dude, just deep breaths. We're going to get through this. We'll figure it out. You want to be at Kentucky. We're going to make this happen. Kind of talk to somebody close to the situation. They don't know much more than anybody else, but it seems as though that was the message to the kid. And I think it's going to get done. So I give Cal credit because I tore him apart during portal season. He kept saying, be patient, be patient, be patient. I tore him apart. He was patient. He got the guys he needed, Trey Mitchell. He got Antonio Reeves back. And then, oh, by the way, I think the patience is going to pay off for this Zvonimir Ivicevic kid. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully we get some clarification here in the next day or two. I don't want to put a time frame on it, but I think we'll get a clarification sooner rather than later. And right now, it does appear to be trending that he ends up a Kentucky Wildcat.